It looks as though police are still here, carrying on with the investigation.
Perfect. So let's find Inspector Gregson as quickly as possible.
Let's actually look at this.
Victoria de Gracia. We think Victoria? In God, Victoria's grace? In Victoria, God's grace? I don't know. This is a 5 shilling piece, isn't it? I believe it's called a crown. If Nero was there, you could ask her to say
Yeah.
what it means.
Yes, and you can train a Scotland Yard detective to do whatever you want with just a single one.
Iris must be the most powerful 10-year-old in the world.
How much is 5 shillings, by the way? What's it really worth?
Well, it's probably enough to buy all the chips the inspector could possibly eat in a whole month. Really?
That's greasy.
That's also a lot of money, unless chips are really cheap. Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem.
Iris' little handwriting is adorable, isn't it?
It is real cute. And it's also in cursive. She's very talented.
I guess you've already read it, so...
Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem.
Yes, the handwriting might be adorable. The message is ominous. There's no room for sentiment there.
I'm sure it's simply the way you're interpreting it, Mr. Naruhodo. Anyway, I do hope the inspector will tell us what he needs to know when he reads it.
You don't think it will make him munch piping hot chips until the steam comes out of his ears, do you?
Ooh, yum, 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 yum. Well, that would be an entirely terrible outcome.
Yes, and let's see if he'll take a break from his chips to look at the silver tip Iris gave us for him. I want to check something. We might be able to go back. Yay, we can!
Let's inspect! Inspect everything!
I do like this fireplace. It's one of the best things I've seen since we arrived to this country, in fact. Lingering beside the fire and watching the flames flicker and dance in the grate. It's so relaxing.
We can't relax. Not when there's so many interesting things on the mantelpiece. Oh, it's just as it was described in the stories.
It is?
Iris is just typing in her typewriter and they just let themselves back in. Yes, exactly. Inside that Persian slipper, for example. Are my chocolates for 11sies? So the hobbits didn't invent 11sies.
No, it was Iris Wilson.
Iris Wilson invented 11sies back in 1872.
1872.
Chance fixed by that large jackknife. When does this game take place? The 1700s?
1800s.
It's my shopping list for the market. Oh, it's not quite how I remember it being described in the pictures of Sherlock Sholmes.
Poor Susanna-san, she looks crushed. It looks like that huge metal chest is being used as a table for tea and coffee. Seems very sturdy with an equally sturdy lock.
Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't go around opening things. I always have to keep an eye on you, don't I? You're so mischievous.
How did you come to that conclusion? Iris?
Oh, that chest contains some of my most valuable things.
And that smile tells me you're not going to give us any clue about what they are. Susanna?
A mystery shoe, a curious hammer, some mysterious dancing men, a bust of Napoleon. Ah, what an entrancing collection.
This is the first time in my life that I've seen a lonely old shoe displayed as an ornament.
Those are all the mementos that Hurley has collected from his past cases.
Really? Even the bust?
Yes, that's right. When the mood takes him, he likes to throw it on the floor and smash it to dust.
The poor defenseless emperor. Mr. Sholmes destroys it?
Yes, and then he buys a new one.
Make it sound like he has the temperament of an insane sculptor.
Ah, how entrancingly bohemian of him to destroy his art.
It's
So
not.
bohemian.
He buys them, so it's not his art. I mean, I guess he owns it, but like, there's all sorts of these shelves: chemistry apparatus, books, papers, and lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heaped up so high, I can't help feeling that the whole lot is going to topple any moment.
I keep telling Harley not to cram so much of those shelves on those shelves.
Good advice.
He wanted to look something up in one of those books a while ago. But it was so tightly wedged in, he couldn't get it out, so he went and bought a new copy instead. Relatable. I will not admit that I've done that, but I have been in that kind of mood that if I really, like, if I own something and I can't find it, I'm like, I'll just buy another copy. Like, it's not worth me digging around all of my stuff for it. To be fair, though, that's because I don't know where it is. He knows where it is, he just refuses to move books around.
It's too wedged in. He has to reorganize everything. I've seen pictures of Western musical instruments like this. It's called a violin, isn't it?
Of course it is. Mr. Sholmes is renowned for his violin playing. How much you want to bet that's Iris, too?
What?
How much you want to bet Iris is the one actually that plays the violin and not Herlock?
Oh, really?
That's right. I just sort of slipped that in.
You did what, Iris?
Didn't really give it a lot of thought, though. I just started adding it to the stories. Yes, Mr. Sholmes' exceptional violin playing has been mentioned a number of times. But the truth is, Hurley had barely touched a violin in his life up until that point. Oh. Of course, people started asking him to play for them after my stories were published. And he wasn't able to tell them that he didn't know how. What did he do? He went straight to the pawn shop and bought himself a nice, very nice violin. And then he practiced. He practiced until his fingers were very nearly dropped off.
Must be why he's so highly strung.
Before I knew it, he'd become rather good. The greatness of the great detective really shone with that experience, I think.
It was a great deception, that's for sure. What on earth is this huge over-the-top machine?
That's the great analytoscope. It can analyze anything, really, anything at all. That's absolutely incredible. And it's one of Hurley's inventions. It took him a whole year. He said it was to help him with his investigation. What sort of things has he analyzed with it? Do you know? Well, actually, he hasn't used it for anything yet.
You said...
Why not?
No, that's me
you.
saying why not. You said, oh, I skipped over because I thought you were going to read it into them.
Oh.
Why not?
Apparently, on the evening he finally completed it, it suddenly occurred to him. I don't actually have anything I need to analyze. Oh dear.
Oh. You there?
Oh. Yeah. How about you, Bruno? Do you have anything you'd like to analyze?
Did your camera turn off?
I guess the enter key automatically turns my camera off?
The only thing that springs to mind is this machine itself. Okay. And the other side of the room.
Oh, there she is typing.
That's a charming little white shelf. And it's full of charming little bottles, too.
Oh, yes, but don't touch any of those. They might explode.
Explode?
Are those exotic chemicals? Do you use them for exciting experiments? Yes, indeed. And as Haley has always says, chemistry is an explosive science.
Sorry?
I agree. A single discovery can trigger an explosion of innovation around the world.
Or perhaps you just meant it literally. Either way, mental note, do not touch any bottle that belongs to Iris.
Click, 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 click. Ah, that's my blackboard where I write down ideas.
Black Peter? What does that mean?
Oh, how intriguing. Must be the title of Iris's latest work. Oh my. I wonder what fantastic tale awaits us.
Sada-san looks like an angel, but I bet she's dreaming of the most grisly crime you could imagine.
No, she probably has a lot of stories to catch up, because, like, I'm sure she's pulled back a couple of, couple of editions because of the delay between getting them mailed back and forth.
Maybe.
So when she gets to the bookstore and she sees there's like 4 of them published and she hasn't read it, she's not gonna help us anymore for the rest of the game. It's a case that Hurley solved just recently. A black cat named Peter went missing in the neighborhood. Hurley tracked it down at the fishmonger's in the end. Well, I can't wait for the story to be published. You're so disappointed.
What a beautiful English tea set, and so neatly arranged.
She should just talk over her shoulder. She just gets up every time. She's like,
well, she wouldn't have to do this if we did it before.
Fair enough. It is a favorite pastime of mine, a cup of herbal tea in the afternoon. Tea made of herbs. That's right. I grow all sorts of herbs in the garden, so I can experiment with different blends. One moment, don't go away. I'll brew a pot of the special blend I came up with earlier today.
She looks delighted. I only hope it's safe to drink.
Is it matcha? Like leaves? Or leaves that herbs? I guess not.
Not all herbs are
it's a plant.
Leaves herbs.
It's a bush. Matcha is a bush. Green tea is a bush. I apologize.
What on earth is that big black lump over there?
Ah, that's a typewriter. It's a machine that allows you to write on paper without needing a pen. And wizardly quickly, too.
Ooh, that sounds like it could be very useful for someone like me with terrible handwriting.
The lady in the case, she was typing. Did he not think of what she was doing?
Apparently not.
He's just like, oh, she just has a machine that she keeps clacking at. Wait, Iris, are all those stories from the adventures of Sherlock shows?
Plus, she did say straight out that she's taking notes on the case.
Yes, everyone typed on this trusty machine. Oh my goodness! How wonderful!
Sada-san looks like she's been shown into the Tokyo Imperial Palace Gardens.
That feeling when you get invited to the Tokyo Imperial Palace Gardens.
I love when I get invited to the Tokyo Imperial Palace Gardens.
Listen, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
You ruined the bit by saying it's and not repeating it.
What?
You'd firstly call it by the full name and not say it.
Oh, I don't even remember what it is anymore. I'm so sorry.
The Tokyo Imperial... something
Palace Gardens.
Yeah.
The Tokyo Imperial Palace Gardens.
Well, it doesn't matter. The bit's over now.
Oh.
Should we give him a thing?
Jesus, chips. Chips, yeah.
A thing.
Buy yourself some chips, my dude.
That's not how to give it.
Here's a guinea for your thoughts.
It's not a guinea.
Have some chips.
Inspector Gregson, do you have a moment? Sorry to say I don't. I'm a very busy man. Much too busy to be talked to a pair of foreign gadabouts, that's for sure.
We have these for you. A present from Miss Iris Wilson.
What? For me? From her ladyship?
Oh no!
Her ladyship? Give that here, at once. Come on, hand it over, that's for me.
Oh no!
Don't wait for me to give it to you, will you? What?
Oh no!
Why or no?
I don't want to say it. It's controversial.
What was that coin exactly? It's a silver crown, obviously, but it's a lot more than that. It's an appearance fee, that's what it is.
An appearance fee? Oh, I see, you mean...
That's right, for the adventure of Herlock Sholmes. Her ladyship always offers me a little financial reward for featuring me, every time.
Yes, of course. I know all about your exploits, Inspector. I read them avidly.
Of course, her using my name without my say-so does make me the butt of a lot of unpleasant jokes, but still. I am sorry, Inspector, that must be difficult for you. Never you mind that. So, what do you want to know, Ellen, eh? Sorry? Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem, it says. Well, obviously it's not a problem. Go on, far away. What do you want to know?
Well, if you wouldn't mind, Inspector, we'd very much like to know the address of Mr. Natsume's lodgings.
A little knife-wielding, mustache Japanese fellow. He lives in a right old hovel. It's just over there, look. On the first floor of that house in the corner where that wreck of a bicycle propped up.
That's so funny. They could have just literally gone door to door and probably would have guessed immediately.
Yeah, but...
That is nearby, indeed.
If I remember rightly, the landlord is Mr. John Garadab. I take it that doesn't set anything off, right?
Is it a Sherlock Holmes character?
Yes, from the 3 Garadabs.
Oh. I'm assuming there's 2 more Garadabs somewhere in this story.
Right, well, if you see her again, make sure you give her ladyship my regard, you hear? I mean it, you tell her that Gregson sends her very best wishes. Don't worry, Inspector, we will. Goodbye for now,
She's very
then.
infatuated with a 10-year-old,
And long live her ladyship.
Seems very infatuated with a 10-year-old.
That gives him a paycheck?
Well, at least he told us what he wanted to know before he left.
Yes, so then, shall we go and see what we can find in Mr. Natsume's lodgings?
Definitely.
No. Move.
I was gonna say, I thought we inspected everything. And also for a second I was like, wait, where are the picker rats?
Wrong game.
I thought you were searching for picker rats for a second. I'm sorry, it's London. Like, your mouse is on the screen.
Not every London is Professor Layton. Like, I'm pretty sure the real London isn't Professor Layton. I'm not sure. I haven't gone there, so I don't know if there's picker rats. But
listen, first time you go to London, you're gonna find a picker rat. Your entire world.
I'll try to find a local and ask them where the picker rats are, but I'll first have to figure out how to speak their language.
Yeah, and then they're gonna.
I'll just go up to them. I'll just be like, "Oi, where are the picker rats at?"
May I help you?
Yes. Would this be the residence of Mr. John Garadab?
Indeed it would, sir. And who, may I say, is calling?
My name is Ryunosuke Rinohara. I am...
Mr. Naruhodo is representing Mr. Soseki Natsume. I believe he takes lodgings here? We would very much like to ask him some questions about our client. One moment, please. I shall convey the message to Mr. Garadep.
Did you see that, Mr. Zada? That was a real-life English maid.
You saw one at the case!
He just wipes his memory of the jury. No, what's a jury?
Next time, that's the person that drives the carriages. I know, as I understand it, anyone of standing in English society employs a number of household staff. But that was the first time I've ever seen one in the flesh. Oh, this day keeps getting better.
Why do you sound so disappointed suddenly?
Because she's also seen one in the flesh.
It certainly feels
You
like we were
spoke with one.
That's two different versions of them. There's the courtroom and the inspector.
Literally neuralized like Men in Black after the case. It's just like, whoop, all memory gone.
Listen,
You have no
it was a traumatic case for them. They repressed some things.
No, it's not even. You couldn't even justify saying that the cases are presented out of order, because clearly that was the first one and this is the second one.
No, yeah, it was traumatic.
It
certainly feels like we really arrived, doesn't it?
We need only meet a butler, and the experience will be complete.
See, they haven't met a butler. I'm not sure if I go that far, but I understand sentiment.
Be nice, Shad.
Shady says, or she's a twit.
Thank you for waiting. Mr. Cappuccino. This way. Oh. You take the moon, and you take the sun.
Should we examine first?
You take everything that seems like fun. Yeah. You throw it all together, and then you're done.
Shazado. You're gonna get us DMCA'd.
Sorry, Chowder. That looks like a Medal of Honor, and it's showcased in a very grand banner.
Yes, it's displayed with some pride, I would say, although it bothers me that it's not straight. What, that old thing? Sorry. I love that we didn't even talk to them yet. I should be glad to see the back of it, but the general would turn in his grave if I disposed of it. The wall is the best place for it. Keeps the bally thing out of the way. So it's just in piles to shine by accident, I suppose.
There appears to be an inscription on the medal itself. Look. Let me see. It says, for distinguished participation.
Sounds like the kind of honors even I could be in line for.
It's a participation trophy.
Well, one doesn't like to blow one's own trumpet, but I was given that for my time in the army. Can't measure an officer by the number of medals in his name, of course. Common knowledge in military circles. What?
That's no bueno.
What?
What about all the tobacco or all the whatever he's smoking on that pipe?
It's all going in the same place.
It's all straight down his gullet. I just love some tobacco with my tea. Yummy, yummy.
How do you know it's not coffee?
Fair enough.
That portrait of Mr. Gerda was glaring at me, I swear.
That makes it totally okay to have tobacco in your coffee.
Some us men do it.
Wait, you never have tobacco in your coffee? Oh, that's weird.
I may not drink coffee, but if I did...
But if I did, I would definitely
I'd have it served black, which, as anybody would obviously know, means served with tobacco in it. Once again, I don't drink coffee, but...
Coffee's naturally actually clear, but they always just put the tobacco in it at the factories to just make it convenient for everybody else.
Actually, anything that's black, it's because tobacco's in it. So
it's because tobacco's in it. Now y'all know. Science with inheritance and Shad.
Bill Nye is nothing on us. Sorry.
Bill! Shad! Shad guy, the science guy. Have you noticed all the little frames contain photographic prints of Mr. Gerda as well?
Yes, and there seems to be a statue of a lion on the mantelpiece as well. Oh yeah, seemed to come back from the local pawnbroker, that little trinket. Seemed to come back? What do you mean? The chap who runs the place is a bally wizard. Went in to sell him something and came out with that thing. In point of fact, now think about it, I rather often found myself leaving the place with something I don't need.
The lion ornament certainly does seem surplus to requirements.
Zeta-san doesn't pull her punches. Or the rose, for that matter. If it makes you feel any better, Nero was equally appalled by the stirring.
Kindred spirits.
The uniform looks fairly ancient, doesn't it?
It's clearly been well looked after, though.
That old thing. Pa, not much better than rags, really. Shady, I don't want to know why you're feeling aroused. Oh? Well, that ceremonial garb, a time of bash, you know. But I'm not one for dwelling on the past. Me would have gladly thrown it out, but you know how it is. Anyway, it doesn't hurt to have the odd piece of memorabilia lying around, does it?
Oh, I see.
Oh, tobacco in your coffee does? Perhaps we should leave him in the past.
I wonder if they use Naruhodo for that. Oh, I see.
That's a full-sized cannon. What's it doing here?
Oh my! It's real! I thought it might be a replica.
That old thing?
God.
Bah, that's a little more than a toy.
I was
Sorry?
gonna say, that old Bali thing. Everything's a Bali thing.
Well, the army was selling it off when I retired, so I decided to give it a new home. Never know when the enemy might attack next. Jolly useful to have a cannon about the house. Really? It isn't overkill? Be prepared, I always say.
Ugh.
You never know where this twisted world is going to throw at you next, boy.
And then he tamps the tobacco pipe down into the bottom of the cup.
Need to get all the tobacco in there.
Yeah, I gotta make sure you get that last little
Listen,
yum, yum, yum.
listen, he doesn't want to inhale that much tobacco. It's not good for your lungs.
I mean, it's definitely good for the stomach ulcers and cancer you're gonna develop. Garadeb. Do you think there may be some trouble brewing, Mr. Garadeb?
Always is. Take Joan here. Never fails to have a clean apron in reserve. Dries over the barrel, you see. They dry very well in the cannon there, Joan tells me, which rather proves my point, I feel. It's been reduced to a drying rack. No wonder the huge cannon looks like it's hanging its head in shame.
The jacket actually looks like it's a little disappointed.
I notice you have a pile of books here, Mr. Garadab. Do you enjoy reading? Ever experienced a London winter, boy? The nights are long. No better way to pass the time than in front of the fire with a jolly good book.
Oh, there's a copy of Rant's magazine here, I see. No doubt Mr. Garadeb enjoys the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, too.
The great detective has a great many followers, it would seem. Oh. Yeah. Are those mortar shells? They're enormous.
Ah, I hadn't noticed. What are they doing here?
Somehow I actually missed them. Ah, those old things. Got my little rounds accidentally fired in the barracks during training, you know. Became a bit of a colorful regime folklore, that incident. You mean you deliberately hunted out the spent shells? Well, I wouldn't say deliberately exactly. They're only scrap iron after all, usually just thrown away, I believe. You never know when things might come in useful, do you? Useful for what exactly? Yes, well... Joan here did manage to knock one of the bally things on my foot the other day while she was dusting.
Oh no!
And it shed tears since 1869 before then, you know. Maybe we consider throwing them away.
What's that on the floor?
Oops, sorry.
Look at that enormous screen. It must be put there deliberately, surely.
Yes, it certainly seems like someone's trying to hide something from view.
Yeah, it's like a big scorch mark
What
on
could
the floor.
be behind it, I wonder?
I'm going to take a very quick look. Just a little peek. Ahem.
Maybe let's not, Mr. Sutter. I think the maid is going to head us off with a cup of tea.
Ahem.
I can't examine whatever that is.
Oh, look. What a wonderful collection of cakes lined up on that gleaming silver cake stand.
Lined up? Looks more like someone has half demolished them to me.
Afternoon tea is a time of indulgence, you know. It's quite the English way. It is Mr. Garrett custom to take 2 cakes with his tea. That sounds delightful.
Oh, wait a minute though. There are at least 10 cakes on this cake stand.
Well, naturally, I would never do to waste the leftovers. So whatever Mr. Garrison doesn't eat, I say to myself, Joan, you shall have to tidy up.
How magnanimous of you.
I mean, did they have Tupperware containers back then?
Probably not.
This old candle holder looks a little out of place here, wouldn't you say?
Yes, you're right. It's clearly supposed to be gold, but it's almost completely black for some reason. That old thing, yes. Just a cheap piece of ironmongery. Gimcrack, really. Oh. Used it when I was studying, don't you know? For my commission. I know it's old, hardly worth hanging on to, really. But, well, still has its uses sometimes.
Of course.
Does everything in this room have some elaborate story behind it?
They're memories, Mr. Naruto. Memories. Tupperware was invented in the 1940s by Earl Tupper. That's literally who invented it. They're Tupper's
Earl Tupper
wares.
Of the town of Ware, Massachusetts.
No, they're his wares. It's Tupper's wares. That's why they're called Tupperware.
It's really weird that he had wares and he lived in the town of Ware in Massachusetts.
Yeah. Ware, Massachusetts.
Look at this crockery on display here. It's rather unusual, isn't it?
Oh my, a genuine London dresser. Isn't it delightful? Although the shelves seem to be broken, and the crockery's... Oh dear, it's in pieces.
It really is. The word cracked wouldn't do that chinaware justice.
Ah, I wonder. Perhaps a cannon was fired at it.
Yes, probably something like that. But let's not delve too deeply here. Okay, now let's talk to the... Oh, wait. Wait, window. Is that it?
This window looks over by a road where the young woman was attacked.
Oh yes, I can make out the policeman on the far side of the road investigating the crime scene.
The glass is rather murky, isn't it? You can't see very clearly.
Does this thing open at all, I wonder?
I shouldn't underestimate the bitterness of a London winter, sir.
Sorry?
As soon as you open up that window, the tea will freeze in the pot. No Londoner would go opening a window with dusk in the middle of winter, I assure you.
Seems very unlikely these two would have seen anything of the incident then. Okay, time to talk.
Let us communicate!
Good day to you, John Garrett at your service.
Pleased to meet you, sir. This is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. He's a defense lawyer.
Do excuse me not getting up. Took a shot to the knee a few years back in the Battle of Merowinter, you know. Earned a medal for my pains, but had to withdraw from service. Handed over the reins to the up-and-comings. So he's a retired soldier. It's a hell of a job getting up and down the stairs now, I can tell you. Don't get out much, as you can imagine. You know, Shady, don't! Don't! He said, so he used to be an adventurer. Yes, it's quite a climb up here to the second floor, isn't it? I was panting at the top of the stairs.
You really must take some exercise, Mr. Naruhodo.
Do you think so?
Well, Mr. Garrett, no doubt, you were very courageous to have earned yourself a medal.
Oh, it was nothing. The medal's just a folder, really. We don't like to offend the general, though, so I grudgingly displayed it on the wall. Why don't you fetch it down, Joan? Let these good people see it properly. Joan, fetch the... Ah! Dash it all, woman! Be careful!
Oh, dear me! I do bear pardon, sir.
You jolly near took the skin off my hands.
I shall be more careful, sir.
So anyway, there you have it, living the quiet life now.
Yes, I see.
Now then, I hear you want to know about the chap lodging downstairs, is that right?
Yes, we would be very grateful if you could answer some questions for us.
Only too pleased, naturally, especially if it helps to keep the peace here in Blighty. We've forged an alliance with the Empire of Japan recently, as I'm sure you're aware. So this case is very much in the public eye, as it were.
Who is it?
He even had some famous detective poking around, you know? In this old house, what do you believe?
Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Good have been. Didn't catch the chap's name. Not really my cup of tea, all that detective business.
Oh, but you have a copy of Rancid magazine here, so...
Hey, no,
Anyway, the chap is investigating the foreigner's room as we speak.
So he's in Saseki's room then?
It's a bally nuisance is what it is. The whole neighborhood's twitching its curtains now. I don't like all this fuss. It's jolly unsettling.
About Mr. Natsume then, Mr. Karadeb, please do tell us.
Ah yes, the Japanese chap. Only been lodging here for a week.
Oh, just 1 week. So he moved in very recently then?
I have 2 lodgers most of the time, one on the ground floor and one just below us. The first floor room became available a week ago, you see. Then bed. Ah! Dash it all, Joan. Do be careful.
Oh my goodness, I'm terribly sorry, sir. If you want to know my opinion, I thought he was a shady sort from the moment I had my eyes on him. Oh, why? He seemed to have a most nervous disposition, always shaking and looking over his shoulder. The man had shady written over his sweat-soaked brow, if you ask me. I said to myself, Joan, that man's trouble. Sooner or later, he's going to do something untoward. And I'm rarely wrong about anything.
We won't be calling this maid as a witness, that's for sure.
Was there anything else that struck you as suspicious about the man at all? Oh yes, indeed there was.
And she's dying to tell us. Had you noticed anything else at all about your lodger, Mr. Natsume? Or Mr. Natsume?
Oh my word, yes. The man was shadier than an orchard. Can you elaborate? Well, take the man's room, absolutely stuffed with books. It is more than anyone could read. He never so much passes the time of day without another living soul. I haven't seen a single visitor call. He just trots off to that old bookshelf every day and comes back with 5 to light to gas the fire. And the funny little man is up long past everyone else in the house has gone to bed, too.
Oh, I see.
The gentleman is on the ground floor. The gentleman on the ground floor goes to bed at around 9 each night. But I've never known that Japanese fellow to retire any earlier than 2 in the morning.
Ah.
What are you doing up until the morning, Joan? Can't talk smack if you know how late he goes to bed. You're going to bed that late too, if not later. Rude. Could you clarify something, I wonder? What, How do you know so much about Mr. Natsume's routine? Oh! I understood that neither of the lodgers live on this floor of the house, is that correct?
That's right, yes. They're both below us, on the first floor and street level.
Then how is it that you know so much about the lives of the lodgers? The precise times that they come back in the evening, for example, even the times they go to bed.
Ah! Good grief, Joan! Be more careful, woman!
Oh my goodness, sir. I'm terribly sorry, sir.
Something doesn't add up here. It seems that the incident took place at around 5 in the evening. Did you happen to look out of the window at around that time?
The window.
Yes. We noticed that the window over there looks out over Briar Road. The incident took place on the pavement just on the far side of the street. Was there anyone suspicious loitering nearby?
5 o'clock is dinner time in the Garadab household, so I'm afraid I don't remember seeing anything. How about you, Joan?
No, sir, I never. It would have been dusk outside already at the hour. And with the fog as well, I should think that it would have been quite impossible to see the other side of the road.
Oh, I see.
Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary then?
Such as?
Anything at all, even if it seems unrelated.
Well,
Yes, was there something then?
it's nothing particularly significant, but at around the time near... Love of God, Joan, watch what you're doing.
Oh, dearie me, what have I done? I'm awfully sorry, sir.
Do be more careful, woman.
Of course, sir. If I may, Mr. Narrow Hollow,
Oh, yes?
I have an exceedingly good memory as far as I remember. Nothing of any significance took place here at that hour, nothing at all.
Oh, really? Mr. Girdab? The way you were talking before, it sounded rather like there might have been.
Oh, well, as I was saying, it was just a trifling matter, really. Nothing of... Joan, dash it all. What is the matter with you, woman?
Begging your pardon, sir, nothing happened.
Yes, quite. Nothing happened. We sat down to a quiet, uneventful meal. Joan?
That's right, Mr. Garda.
What is the matter with these two?
It sounds like something happened here in this room on the evening of the incident, but what?
I wish I knew. Could you tell us which floor Mr. Natsume's room is on?
Why, certainly. Just below us on the first floor.
Oh, I think I know what happened already.
What?
The cannon fired, and it broke the window, and they had a knife on the window on the on their room, and the knife was stabbed her from the house. That's my thing, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, interesting. I am curious how the glass would be. Fine.
What? What happened?
I am curious then why the window looks unbroken, but...
Well, I mean, there's that big... I'm pointing on my screen, you can't even see. That big scorch mark on the floor that's being covered. And it's brick. They bricked up the window.
The bricked up windows are on the other floors. Okay.
I don't know. It's my theory. I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
I'll figure it out. And Mr. Sholmes is investigating there, even as we speak. I mean, we've been here for like a half hour, girl. I don't think he's there anymore.
Yes, true. Told me Nats Nat's his name, and I asked him to look into the matter, so I give him the key.
Mr. Natsume has engaged Mr. Holmes' services.
That's a blatant lie. Would it be alright if we also had a look around? In Mr. Natsume's room, I mean.
I don't see why not, just down one flight of stairs.
Shit, he said the cabin fired, broke the window, and obliterated the town square because of the freaking cannon. Who knows if we'll find anything that could help us with the case, but we have to try. And he said, well, more like the next neighbor's house. Take that, Dinkelberg.
Dinkelberg!
We need all the clues we can lay at our hands, shall we?
Yes, and while we're there, we can speak with Mr. Sholmes again. Perhaps he'll be able to tell us more.
Okay, so to the Mr. Natsume's room.
Oh, there's a cat.
Of course there's a cat. What? Just look at the place. And smell it. It's so musty in here. Suppose the mountain of old books that are responsible for that.
I don't think I've ever seen so many books in my life.
No, me neither. It's so dark in here, too.
Is that the window over there?
Well, it was the window, I think, yes, once upon a time. But for some reason it's been closed up with bricks and mortar. This is where Mr. Natsume lives.
By the way, I haven't spotted Mr. Sholmes anywhere, have you?
No, that's true, but according to what Mr. Dagoudab told us, the great detective should be around here somewhere investigating.
He's inside that jar on the shelf.
I thought you were going to say he's inside the cat.
No, he's inside the jar on the shelf.
Could you even call this a window?
I think so. It was a window at the time, after all. Although all that remains is a frame around some bricks now.
So really, it's just a wall then, isn't it? But why would anyone deliberately brick it up like that?
I'm afraid I have no idea. Ah! Perhaps Mr. Natsume painted the brick design in on a fit of whimsy.
Ugh, that's alarmingly feasible. Anyway, whatever the reason, the lack of ventilation here makes the place very oppressive.
It does. I imagine being cooped up in a room like this would be extremely trying.
Look at all those books stacked up there. They almost reach the ceiling.
They're all works of English literature, and they all smell so musty.
With this volume of books to hand, then you'd never be short of reading material, would you?
No, what a dreamy idea.
A bad dream, maybe, for me at least. Mind you, I don't imagine the book that's at the bottom of the pile now will ever be read again.
Ah, so reading it is an experience that comes but once in a lifetime, just as the tea ceremony teaches us.
I certainly didn't expect the conversation to turn down the path of tea ceremony philosophy.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, she's so cute. Oh, goodbye, cat. Oh my, what an adorable little cat. Perhaps he's looking after all the books while his master's away.
I don't know about that. He disappeared into that pile of books as quick as a flash. It was a tricolor Mike, wasn't it? Do they even have that sort of cat here in Great Britain?
Perhaps Mr. Natsume brought the little creature with him from Japan.
That's made me feel homesick now.
Already, we've only been in the country for 2 days.
Well, cat's gone.
Mike. That desk seems to be wedged into a crevice between the mountain of books on either side.
I suppose Mr. Natsume would sit there and read while stroking his cat. But surrounded on all sides by these towering old tomes, surely he dreamt of books every night as well.
Yes, he must have done, mustn't he? Oh, what's this? It's a receipt from a second-hand bookshop. Your books.
Oh yes, Mr. Natsume's name is on it. Look, and the date of purchase. 2 days ago at 4:45 p.m. By the way, your books has a pun?
I don't get it. I don't know what the pun would be.
That's the day of the incident.
Oh, that's just a short while before he was embroiled in the terrible attack. He must have been on his way back from buying some old books.
Second book receipt.
Sum of 2 shillings
The pic-
tendered in the receipt of the picture of Monsieur Lecoq, a meal of Gabreau, Canterbury yearnings.
Yep.
Monsieur Lecoq.
Oh, I didn't mean to click that again. No. Now we're going to talk about the tea ceremony again. This appears to be some sort of meter on the wall here. Looks very robust. I wonder what it's for. There's a slot for inserting coins here too.
I believe that's a gas meter, Mr. Naruhodo.
A gas meter.
Yes, it seems there's piped gas in this district which customers pay by putting coins in the meter.
So if we were to put a coin in the slot,
Then it would be enough gas to use the lights in the gas fire for the whole night.
so if you're too poor to have a coin, you have to spend the night in the dark and freezing cold.
That's right, as would a rich man who only carries crisp white notes.
London is a scary place.
Oh, look, it's a beckoning cat from home.
It's a bit big in bulk, isn't it? Surely Mr. Natsume didn't bring that Maneki Neko all the way from Japan with him.
Maneki Neko. I hardly think you're in a position to comment, Mr. Naruhodo. Are you forgetting that enormous Daruma doll that you brought from in your luggage?
Well, it can be dangerous traveling abroad. I wanted a lucky charm.
Well, I imagine Mr. Natsume wanted the same, and this cat is sure to beckon good luck to him. I'll bring
It's-
my Daruma doll.
It's not doing a very
Next
good
time.
job so far, is it?
I used to keep it on my desk. You mustn't say such things.
I didn't say a word. Why are
My
my
brother
eyes
bought
such a
it.
giveaway?
For me, when he was in Japan at a temple, I'm like, choice.
That's amazing.
Darumazing! Darumazing should be the third evolution of the Darumaka line.
Please now. Look at all
Yes.
these balls of paper on the floor. There are notes scrawled all over them in English. Looks like the waste paper basket is full, so they're just falling out.
What's the pre-evolution to Darumaka? Or is Darumaka the pre-evolution and then it evolves into something else?
I think Darumaka is the first one.
What is it?
Darumia?
I don't remember anymore.
Darunia?
Darunia. Hey, little guy, it's me, Darunia. I'm a fire-type Pokemon.
I mean, he'd be fire type.
Oh, you're right. Oh my god.
He's the
I'm
sage
so
of fire.
silly. They'd probably be the same typing. Darunia. Garuk's protection is now ready to roll.
Suzato
Oh, sorry. I got lost in Darunia.
in Darunia's arms.
Yeah. Oh, who wouldn't? Oh, dreamy. I think Mr. Natsume must have been deeply immersed in his research, don't you?
Or deeply averse to tidying up his mess.
I wouldn't like to speculate which is closer to the truth.
Hello!
Hey, my boy! It's also Darumaka is the pre-evolution and evolves into Darmanitan.
Darmanity, got it.
Darmanity, and then Darumazing. Look, Mr. Naruhodo. Gotta see if I remember his
Aha, here he is. There he is. Where did he appear from? Yeah, it's been a couple weeks. Been a few
for
weeks.
the last 9 minutes of the stream. He seems to be engrossed in the pages of an old book. I hope he wouldn't mind if we disturb him, like he's disturbing the crime scene. Hello, Mr. Sholmes? Hoo-ha! Ah, you too! Good day! Now, let me see. Where was it that we met? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, we were together in the SS Barrier. Oh, yes, of course, the Barrier. Let me guess. Let me see. What happened on that voyage?
It was Kazuma Asogi. He died
Yikes.
tragically. But you were a great help to us.
Could you imagine if somebody just casually forgot that your best friend got murdered?
Like a month
And
ago
you
or
were
a month or
there?
two ago?
Yeah, and you were present for it. Like,
And they
your
accused
friend's
you of the
murder is
murder.
So inconsequential. Yeah. Oh my god, I would literally just walk away from Jones and never met her, like never talk to him again. Yes, but of course, the case of Mr. Asogi. It was the one with the snake, wasn't it? Oh,
Well, you seem to remember something of it, at least.
what an honor to be remembered vaguely by the great Herlock Sholmes. The person who apparently has an eidetic memory to be remembered vaguely is such an honor. Susato. Ugh.
I mean,
This is Mr.
one of his quotes in one of the books about his brain attic and how he has to like throw things out to keep safe space in his brain attic.
I guess so. Oh, no, my dear madam. Hold your tongue. I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain attic.
See, he mentions it here too.
There you go. Miss Naruhodo. Hoo-ha! And Mr. Susato.
Try the other way around, Mr. Sholmes.
I lose the first round. Mr. Koenig's not here, so he doesn't get it. Oh no, it wasn't even cool name. It was Dragon who said that. Is Dragon on the chat?
I don't think so.
Okay, so he doesn't get it either. In truth, I'd hoped to invite you both to my Baker Street suite that day we arrived in London. But some Scotland Yarders ambushed me on the railway station and whisked me away to the crime scene. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. I solved the matter in no more than 30 minutes.
So they apprehended Soseki-san in that short amount of time.
I'm afraid the pursuance of a new case has dulled my recollection of past involvements a little.
A little?
It is a mistake to think that one's brain attic has classic elastic walls that can distend to any extent. I do my best to forget useless facts, lest they should elbow out the useful ones.
He just called Kazuma's death a useless fact.
Yes, these are my own words of inimitable wisdom. You know, from an adventure entitled Study in Scarlet.
Which is correct. Please, there's no need to quote yourself.
I feel like he does that look a lot. I don't always remember my pearls of wisdom, but fortunately, my associates penned them beautifully.
He means Iris, I suppose.
Mr. Sholmes, we have some extremely important questions to ask you about the trivial case you mentioned. Goodness, what an earnest expression. My dear madam, I should be only too pleased, and this murky room is an apt place to discuss the murky case.
I know this to be the lodgings of a Japanese foreign student by the name of Soseki Natsume. It seems that you assisted his arrest, Mr. Sholmes, for the stabbing of a young woman outside here on Brow Road.
Mr. Natsume, yes, I believe it was a name, it was a name rather along those lines. But Mr. Natsume denies it. It's justifiable to arrest him on so little? I'm sorry, Miss Susato, but I have not the slightest idea what you mean. What?
I can't believe he was looking Susato-san squarely in the eye while feigning ignorance.
I assure you, I'm not merely feigning ignorance. It would appear as if the pair of you are under some misapprehension.
Oh, how?
I assure you, I have no recollection of accusing your stooped compatriot of the crime.
But that doesn't make sense.
The good detective of Scotland Yard has made the following request of me, and I quote verbatim. We need you to ascertain the identity and whereabouts of a man seen fleeing the crime scene.
Ah, a man seen fleeing.
There were a number of books scattered on the pavement at the scene. From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshop from which they had been purchased. On speaking with the proprietor, it was immediately led to this address. Elementary, wouldn't you say? I believe there was a receipt around here somewhere with the establishment in question.
So you don't think Mr. Natsume is the culprit then?
That I could not tell you. But it was aggravating my faculties. Hence why I returned here. However, this place is such a trove of fascinating books, I found myself quite lost in bibliophily. Bibliophily?
Bibliophily?
Do not be deceived into... Bibliophily. It's like me, a bibliophile. Sorry. Do not be deceived into believing I'm a man of leisure. No, no, no. Oh dear. Tell me, have you encountered the landlord of these lodgings?
Yes, Mr. Gerdab, a retired military man.
It was the first time I've ever met a soldier from the Great British institution that is the services.
And it was the first time I ever met a maid from the Great British institution that is service.
Funny.
I didn't think it was that funny.
It's kind of funny, really. Okay, I chuckled. I do apologize. As you may well be aware, many households in London employ a maid. Yes, I read as much in my Great Britain primer. And so, conversely, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to be token the social standing of those dwelling therein.
Betoken their social standing, sorry?
Put simply, my dear fellow, those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class. Those who don't are beneath that. In the upper echelons of society, of course, households employ enough staff to constitute a large family. Goodness, how extraordinary. As you can appreciate, for those on the precarious boundary between middle and lower classes, being able to afford just one maid is the first of the first importance.
I had no idea.
And it is for precisely that reason that I find great stimulation in the situation upstairs. Specifically in the retired army veteran, Mr. John Garrison.
Oh?
Affable as he is, the fellow is hiding something. Whether or not it imposes on the circumstances of this case, I am yet to be able to ascertain.
I'm thoroughly lost what he means to say. Should we stop here or should we finish talking to him?
They can
What?
finish the danger room. Is the danger room the last one, or is there going to be another one that pops
I
up
have
after?
zero idea.
This room is thoroughly suffocating for the soul, my dear fellow. I assure you, any man whose lot is to dwell in a place such as this slab, this will stab somebody sooner or later. Mr. Natsume stabbed no one. Ah, but sooner or later, as I said. I don't believe that's the issue here.
About that this dark little room, Mr. Sholmes. Why is there no longer a window? Do you have any idea?
No window.
Well, I mean, I can clearly see that there is a window of sorts. But it's been completely blocked with bricks.
I see. To answer that, the answer to that question is quite simple. Window tax.
Window tax? What is that?
Surely, not a tax on windows. Precisely that. Oh my goodness. Until relatively recently, a tax was levied on households in this country by the number of their windows. Those of lesser means, having inherited a sizable and costly family home, perhaps rapidly closed windows up. While the rich open windows here, there, everywhere. In an effort to curry favor with those in power by furnishing them with a large sum of tax money. How awful and unjust, forcing people to live in rooms devoid of light. Indeed, disease was rife as a result. So some 40 years ago or thereabouts, the window tax was abolished. But its legacy remains, as you can see, in squalid lodgings such as these, for example.
I suppose Mr. Natsume's stipend for living here in London isn't very generous, perhaps.
It would appear so. I've done a little digging. I discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price. Because the room is so awful, I should think.
Apparently, Mr. Natsume only moved in here about 1 week ago.
I've been doing all the talking, I got used to it. Yes, that's correct, however. I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of the accommodations.
Oh?
Still, there is a little relevance here, no matter how a matter not worthy of further attention.
Are you sure? I'm curious now.
Well, I believe I told you all I can now.
Thank you, Mr. Sholmes.
Ah, yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Was it not your intention to become a practitioner of law?
You remember that, did you?
Will you perhaps be offering your services in this very matter, I wonder? To the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsume, was it?
I'm not sure.
Not sure? On what grounds?
Well, I actually defended someone in court here only yesterday.
Really? Well then, I congratulate you, sir, on an ambition realized, and so promptly, too.
The thing is, it's really made me question things. Am I right to believe in my clients? To trust in their innocence?
Yes. Trust.
Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Natsume didn't do it, did he?
My dear fellow, I haven't the first idea.
Oh, but I thought that's why you were here. Didn't you come back to investigate?
Ah, yes, that was indeed my initial intention. But there are simply too many fascinating books here. I couldn't possibly ignore them.
Oh, I see.
Nevertheless, there are two facts that I can state quite unequivocally. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago is the Japanese occupant of this room. And there are witnesses who swear of having seen the same man commit the crime. That is all I can say. And one more thing. Oh, what is it, Mr. Sholmes? Tell us. I cannot say with any certainty whether or not there's a relevance to this case, but I am quite sure...
Okay, I know this is the end of his, near the end of the spiel now.
...that the retired army man who owns this property is hiding something.
Mr. Gerdab is... Mr. Sholmes said as much before he actually did, didn't he?
Anyway, at present, that's really all that plays on my mind in relation to this case. Mr. Naruhodo, as yet our investigation have uncovered nothing that could help us establish Mr. Natsume's innocence.
No, you're right. Perhaps it's time we probe a little deeper in Mr. Garudub's secret.
Just remember, I cannot be sure whether the landlord's secret will prove to be of relevance or not. But I wish you every success, of course, Mr. Naruhodo.
A busy man indeed. He's gone back to his book in the corner of the room. Okay.